You thought things were finally quiet. No more arguments in the kitchen. No more cold looks over dinner. No more, "we need to talk," at 11 p.m. She stopped complaining. Stopped asking where you were. Stopped telling you what she needed. And you, like most men, took that as a win. You told yourself, "She's just tired. She's figuring things out. At least we're not fighting anymore." But here's the truth you never saw coming. When a woman goes quiet, the decision's already in motion. She's not waiting on you anymore. She's detaching. Emotionally, mentally, silently. Because that silence you think means peace. It means she's stopped believing you'll change. She's stopped seeing the point in explaining things you never really listened to. She stopped trying to fix a connection that only she fought for. And one day, without yelling, without warning, she'll hand you a folded note, or whisper in the hallway, or say it over dinner, calm as ever, "I'm done. I just can't do this anymore." And you'll be left wondering, when did it get this far? This isn't about blame. This is about awareness. Because if she's silent now, it doesn't mean she's healed. It means she's already mourning the marriage you didn't know was dying. Let me walk you through the signs most men miss until it's too late. 1. She stops complaining. You used to hate the way she pointed things out. The way she reminded you to take the trash out. Again. The way she told you she felt unseen, unheard, and untouched. You rolled your eyes when she brought it up. You said she was too sensitive, too emotional, too much. You thought her complaints were noise. But what you didn't realize, what so many men don't, is that a woman only complains when she still believes something can change. Her words sharp as they were meant, she was still fighting, still hoping, still reaching for you. She wasn't nagging. She was trying to keep the connection alive. And the moment she stopped, that's when you should have worried. Because silence isn't peace. Not when it comes after years of trying. When she no longer comments on the way you come home late. When she no longer sighs at how you stare at your phone during dinner. When she no longer asks why the intimacy is gone. That's not progress. That's a countdown. She's no longer trying to pull you closer. She's no longer looking for proof that you care. She's already told herself the answer. You see, most men fear the day their wife yells, "I'm done." But the real danger? It is the week before that when she says nothing, when she walks past you like you're a stranger, when she says, "I'm fine," and means empty. And the most painful part? You might not even notice. Because for the first time in years, things are finally calm. But calm doesn't always mean safe. Sometimes it means the storm has already passed. And now, she's building her exit in silence. So if your wife has gone quiet, not cold, not angry, just quiet, don't relax. Wake up. Because the man who only listens when she stops talking is often the man who loses her completely. 2. She withholds touch. At first it's subtle. You lean in for a kiss, and she turns her cheek. You brush her hand on the couch, and she pulls away to adjust the blanket. You tell yourself she's tired, stressed, just not in the mood. But deep down you feel it. The warmth is gone. And it's not just about intimacy in the bedroom. It's not about frequency. It's about presence. Touch is how women tether themselves emotionally. It's how they say, "I still want to be near you." And when that stops, it's not just physical. It's psychological. It means something has already been severed. You start noticing that she doesn't sit close to you anymore. That she doesn't reach for your arm in public. That when she lies beside you in bed, it's like sleeping next to absence. She's there, but she's gone. And it hurts in a way that words can't touch. Because you remember when she used to grab your hand just because. When her head would find your chest without thinking. When her fingers lingered on your back in the kitchen like you were still her safe place. And now? Now there's a gap between you that no conversation seems to cross. Maybe you tried to ignore it. Maybe you thought, this is just what happens in long marriages. But here's what most men miss. A woman rarely stops touching you because of one bad week. She stops because somewhere along the way, she stopped feeling emotionally safe. And when a woman doesn't feel safe, she withdraws. Not with anger, with quiet distance. And every inch between your bodies becomes another mile between your hearts. So if her body no longer reaches for yours, don't blame hormones. Don't wait for her to come around. Lean in. Ask the hard question, have I made you feel alone, even while lying next to me? Because when touch dies, it's not the end of affection. It's the beginning of goodbye. 3. She doesn't share her day. You used to hear it all. The co-worker who stole her lunch from the fridge, the weird lady at the store who smelled like lavender and regret, the dress she tried on but didn't buy, and now kind of regrets it. It wasn't always deep, it wasn't always exciting, but it was real. It was her way of saying, "Let me bring you into my world." And you nodded. Sometimes half listening, sometimes scrolling through your phone as she spoke, telling yourself, "She's just venting. It's nothing big. Mine." But here's the truth. When a woman stops telling you the small things, it's only a matter of time before she stops trusting you with the big ones. She doesn't stop talking because she has nothing to say. She stops because she's convinced. You stopped caring. You used to be the first person she'd call when something hilarious happened. Now, she tells her sister, or her friend, or no one. You used to be the one she'd vent to about work. Now, she keeps it all in. She walks through the door, says hey, and goes straight to her corner of the house. Not in anger, not in protest, just in quiet detachment. And the saddest part? You think everything's fine. You think the silence is peace. But in reality, what you're hearing is absence. She's pulling away not in rage, but in resignation. And once a woman stops trying to share herself with you, she won't beg you to notice. She'll just start building a version of life that doesn't include you in the story. So the next time you come home and she doesn't offer a single detail of her day, don't assume she had nothing worth sharing. Assume this instead. You stopped being her safest place to land. And she stopped throwing pieces of herself into a space where nothing ever caught them. 4. Her words sting now. There was a time when her words, even in anger, still came from a place of care. She'd say, "I need you to step up. I miss the way you used to be. Please meet me halfway." And yeah, maybe it felt like criticism, but it was really a cry to reconnect. Because when a woman is still willing to explain how you're hurting her, it means she still believes you might stop. But now, her words land differently. They don't ask for change. They cut. They don't reach for resolution. They dismiss. What used to be frustration has turned into something colder, sharper. It shows up in the sarcasm, the eye rolls, the way she says, "Wow, shocker, you forgot again," or the biting tone when she mutters, "Why would I expect anything else?" It's not just what she says. It's how she says it with contempt. That's the danger most men miss. When the emotion in her voice shifts from sadness to disdain, when the warmth turns to ice, when her once gentle corrections become character assassinations, she doesn't say, "I wish you'd listen." She says, "You never listen, you never did, and you never will." And each time you hear that, a little part of you hardens. You start withdrawing too. You get defensive. You think, "She doesn't respect me anymore." And you're right, because respect isn't lost in explosions. It's eroded in the small daily moments where she feels unseen and unheard for too long, until all that's left is resentment. And once resentment settles in her voice, it starts to poison everything. So if her words feel sharper than they used to, don't just fight back. Look deeper. Ask yourself, what's the wound behind that weapon? Because a woman doesn't speak with venom unless she's been bleeding alone for a long, long time. 5. She acts alone. It starts small. She books her appointments, doesn't ask if you're free to go. She handles the kids' schedules without checking yours. She makes plans for the weekend without saying a word. You tell yourself she's just being efficient, independent, responsible. But deep down, you know something's shifted. She used to involve you in decisions, even the smallest ones. Should we go with this paint color or that one? I saw this restaurant, want to try it Friday? I was thinking about switching the kids' schools. What do you think? Now, she's already booked the painter, made the dinner reservation with her friends, submitted the school transfer forms before you even heard there was a problem. She stopped collaborating, stopped including you, stopped considering your voice in her world. And here's what hurts the most. She doesn't do it to punish you. She does it because she's no longer planning a life with you. She's rehearsing for a life without you. You became a ghost in your own household, physically present, functionally irrelevant. You might still live under the same roof, sleep in the same bed, but you're no longer a partner. You're a placeholder. And when you try to speak up, When you say, "Why didn't you tell me about this?" She shrugs, like it's not even worth explaining anymore. And maybe you yell, maybe you shut down, maybe you act like you don't care. But late at night, when the house is still and she's asleep on her side of the bed, you realize the truth. She's already started living like you're gone. And if you don't wake up soon, she won't just be acting alone, she'll be alone. By choice. 6. She mentions divorce casually. It doesn't come in a screaming match. It doesn't explode in the middle of a fight. Number. It slips in, like a whisper, over breakfast, over dishes, over silence. Sometimes I wonder if we'd both be happier apart. She says it like she's commenting on the weather. No emotion, no panic, just calm. And that's what makes it terrifying. Because if she'd said it in anger, you could dismiss it. If she'd yelled it during a fight, you could tell yourself it was heat of the moment. But when she says it like it's already been rehearsed in her head, that's different. That means she's been living with that thought for a while. Quietly, privately. And now, she's just testing how it sounds out loud. She watches your reaction, not to see if you'll cry or beg, but to confirm what she already suspects, that maybe you won't fight for her at all, that maybe the idea doesn't shake you the way it used to, that maybe you checked out long before she did. And so, it becomes easier to say again. A little joke here, a passing comment there. If we ever split, I'd probably keep the dog. I could totally handle life on my own. Use a cryson. You laugh nervously, change the subject, tell yourself, she didn't mean it. But she did, because that kind of sentence doesn't come from nowhere. It comes from months, maybe years of silence, of feeling unheard, of mourning a marriage quietly while smiling through it. And the more you pretend not to hear her, the more she confirms what she's already decided. So if she's mentioned the word divorce, even in passing, don't brush it off. Lean in. Because when a woman finally speaks about leaving, it means she's already imagined it. And when she imagines it long enough, she'll make it real. 7. She needs time apart. She doesn't slam the door. She doesn't pack her things in the middle of the night. She just looks at you, one evening calm, collected, and says, "I think I need space. I just need time to figure things out. This isn't working. I need to clear my head." And you pause. You tell yourself it's temporary, that it's just a cooling off period, that she'll come back when she's less overwhelmed. But the truth is, when a woman asks for time apart, she's already taken it in her heart. You just didn't notice. She's been sleeping next to you, feeling like a stranger. She's been making dinner, while daydreaming of escape. She's been doing the laundry, wondering what her life would feel like without your silence, your absence, your distance. By the time she asks for space, she's already emotionally packed her bags. Now, she's just moving her body to match. And you try to stay calm. You offer to talk, to go to therapy, to work on things. But to her, it sounds like too little, too late. Because she gave you space too. The space to notice her detaching, the space to feel her growing colder, the space to fight for her when she was still quietly hoping you would. You didn't take it. And now, she is. So when she says, "I need time apart," don't hear it as a pause. Hear it for what it is. A decision. Not always final, but never casual. Because when a woman finally leaves, not with rage, but with resignation, it means she tried. She cried. She waited. And now, she's done waiting. Ending reflection. It never happens all at once. Love doesn't explode. It erodes. Quietly. Like a shoreline losing inches every day. You don't notice. Until the water's at your door. And by then she's already gone. Not physically, maybe, but emotionally, spiritually, relationally. She's no longer beside you. And here's the truth most men can't admit until it's too late. Her silence was never the beginning of the end. It was the end. Everything before that, her frustration, her tears, her complaints, those were her holding on. Those were the signs that she still cared enough to fight. But when she went quiet, she wasn't giving you peace. She was giving up. You thought the absence of conflict meant things were getting better. But really, it meant you stopped being someone worth reaching for. And now, you sit on a couch that feels bigger than it used to, in a home that feels emptier because it is, and you replay every moment she tried to speak, every moment you chose comfort over curiosity, pride over presence. silence over showing up. So if she's still here, still quiet, but here, don't waste that silence. Fill it with honesty, with apology, with presence, because the greatest mistake you'll ever make is waiting until she's gone to start listening.